Hello, this is cjhoyle. Today is Sunday, March 15th, 2020, and I'm standing here at the intersection of Yonge and Aylmer Avenue in Toronto. Today I'm riding my 1992 Iowa Linear Recumbent Bike, which on the front of it has an action camera mounted, and in this video I'm going to be riding down this hill and giving a tour of Rosedale Valley Road and Bayview Avenue in Toronto. Alright, so starting from the traffic light there and beginning my way heading in the east direction, the first point of interest that I'll be crossing is this bridge here, which is where Aylmer Avenue crosses over the Yonge subway, also known as Line 1. A little bit to the left of that bridge is the Rosedale subway station, the first subway station north of Bloor Street. And here I begin my descent down the hill here on Aylmer Avenue, although the name of this road will be changing shortly to Rosedale Valley Road. There on the right you can see the Yonge subway passing. The Yonge subway in Line 1 is mostly underground, but there are a few sections like that one where it does come out from under the ground. So right here at this intersection here, over on the left, that road that's sort of merging with us, that's Rosedale Valley Road. So beyond this point, this road is now called Rosedale Valley Road, and the reason it has that name is because this road follows the bottom of the Rosedale Valley, which is the site of a former creek that ran down through this ravine in this valley and eventually met the Don River. Beside Rosedale Valley Road over on the right, there is a multi-use path, or bike path or pedestrian path, whatever you want to call it. I find that path really helpful when you're climbing up the hill, but when I'm going down this hill, because I usually end up getting a fair bit of speed, I prefer to ride right on the road, because you never know what you're gonna run into in the other direction. So as we are now pretty well established down into the valley, we're just about to go underneath a bridge. This is the bridge for Mount Pleasant Avenue. And then straight ahead you can see another bridge, and that's the bridge for Sherbourne Street. And you can really appreciate that this is a fairly deep valley. And the former water course that used to flow down here is now a storm sewer of sorts. It's a buried creek or a buried river, one of Toronto's lost rivers, as they call it. Oh, just hit a bit of a pothole there. Straight ahead you can now see another bridge that we're going underneath of. That one is a pedestrian bridge. That is the Glen Road pedestrian bridge, which I think the one that's there now is the third one that they built there. It's like they've replaced it a number of times, and I believe it's scheduled for replacement again. So, in a year or so, you'll probably see a different bridge crossing there, and it'll just be for pedestrians, as it is now. So ahead you can see some more bridges coming up. The first one that's mostly made out of concrete, or that you can see the concrete, that is the bridge which was built for the Line 2 subway, the Bloor-Danforth line. So the subway that goes in the east and west direction, that goes through that tunnel to get across this Rosedale Valley. And the one after it is part of the Prince Edward Viaduct, which was built more than 100 years ago. That one was actually built with capacity in the undercarriage to be able to carry a subway train, but they ended up building that separate bridge for it instead, because to be able to facilitate using that existing bridge would have meant the curves were too sharp for the way they were designing their subway back then. Over on the right we're going past a cemetery. It's the St. Jane's Cemetery and Crematorium, established in 1844. Usually facts like that I have to memorize ahead of time, but there was a sign right beside the cemetery telling me all that information. And yeah, this time of the year in March, it's kind of interesting to ride down here because, you know, these forests, there's no leaves yet on the trees. You can see right through, and you can really see the shape of the valley. So I kind of consider this multi-use trail over on the right kind of one of Toronto's hidden secrets. I know a lot of people that ride their bikes in Toronto, when you talk about Rosedale Valley Road and, you know, the Rosedale Valley path, and a lot of them don't really know it or don't know it very well. But it actually forms a pretty useful connector from getting you, from Midtown down to the bottom of the valley. Or not Midtown, but sort of, the Yorkville area, or a little bit north of there, the direct link to get you down to the bottom of the Don Valley, which you can then connect up with the Don Valley trails, the Lower Don Trail. And that's actually where I'm going to be heading today in this video. So I'll take you in this video from where we started all the way to Pottery Road, where you can get onto the Don Valley Trail. And from there you can either go, further north or further south, depending on where you're actually planning on going. So if I had taken that trail instead of the road, then I would be positioned over here and able to press this button where there's a special signalized crossing for bicycles, which is now changed so I can go across here. And this road that we're at now is Bayview Avenue. So you don't actually have to ride on Bayview Avenue because they have this nice separated pathway for cyclists and walkers and rollerbladers and whatever, and it was fairly recently repaved, so it's quite nice for going on. I'm filming this video in March 15th, so the trail is a little bit covered right now in sand from the road treatment that they were doing over the winter with the pickled sand. But later in the year this will be clean and more appropriate for activities like rollerblading. So we're now heading kind of in the north direction, essentially. And over on my right there are some train tracks. And beyond those train tracks, there's the Don River, which is the river that's, at the middle of this valley. Of course, as you mentioned, we're now at the bottom of the Rosedale Valley, and we're in the Don Valley instead, where the Don River flows. And on the other side of that river is the Don Trail that I was referring to. And then further over there, further over to my right, is the Don Valley Parkway. Straight ahead you can see the Prince Edward Viaduct Bridge, or the Bloor Viaduct Bridge, depending on what you want to call it, which is built very similar to the one that we crossed for Bloor Street a little bit earlier in the Rosedale Valley. Those two bridges were built at the same time about 100 years ago. And I'm just getting, I'm going to slow down a little bit because this bike does not have any front fenders. And any water that gets sprayed will hit me, and then I'll have some extra laundry to do. But yeah, that bridge was built at the same time as the other one, and it was, designed for the same purpose, to connect Bloor and Danforth Streets together. And in fact, that one, they were able to make use of the undercarriage for carrying the subway. So that one does not have a separate bridge for the subway. The subway goes right underneath of there. It's a really nice sunny Sunday today. It's about 3 degrees Celsius, but the sun is shining, and if you're dressed for it, it's certainly a great day to be outside. I speculate one of the reasons why you don't see more people out today is because of the social distancing that's being practiced right now in favor of stopping the COVID-19 outbreak. Which will be very relevant to you if you're watching this video in March of 2020, but something that we'll look back on as something to remember. So we're just going underneath a road bridge here. A little bit of part of this trail here is made of a boardwalk type design. So yeah, well, you don't see a lot of cyclists out. People have been encouraged to sort of, not go to public things, try and avoid gatherings and things like that whenever possible. But I feel that cycling is a pretty good thing you can do if you want to get outside and do something, because rarely when you're cycling are you ever, in close contact with other people. So a lot of people actually have been cycling, it seems at least, more people than you normally see at this time of the year. And that's because these are people that would normally take public transit to get places. Instead, they're electing to take their bikes out of the garages a little bit earlier this winter to be able to avoid social contact. So over on the left, we're just about to go past a development called the Evergreen Brickworks, which was originally the Don Valley Brickworks. It was opened in the 1890s and produced bricks right here in Toronto for about 100 years, a little bit less than 100 years. And the reason why it's located here was because actually before this site was used as a brickworks where they made bricks, it was a paper mill, or of course they made paper, and apparently they were building a fence at that paper mill, and when they were digging into the ground they discovered some clay that was particularly, they believed to be particularly good for making bricks, and so they decided to change the site into a brick making facility, and they quarried the material right here, and they made the bricks right here. And the site continued to operate until they ran out of the good clay that they needed for making bricks. So the bricks that were made at the Don Valley Brickworks were used in lots of buildings around Toronto, including some prominent ones like Castle Loma, the Ontario Legislature, and Osgoode Hall. And I'm sure many others that I have not mentioned here. So Bayview Avenue is a fairly busy road, so it's really nice having this separated pathway for people to ride bikes on and walk on. And we're just about at Pottery Road, which is, as I mentioned, is where this trail meets the Don Valley Trail. So if you had ridden down the Rosedale Valley Road on the trail and then ridden along here, you would have been able to get all the way from Yonge Street at Rosedale Station all the way down to the Don Valley Trail, where you can then make lots of other really useful connections on more separated trails. So a very bike-friendly way of being able to get outside and enjoy the city. Now there's some train tracks to cross here, and unfortunately they have some gates up so that cyclists don't automatically go through these train tracks, and those gates are very not well suited for recumbent bikes, unfortunately, so I'm going to go around the gates instead. But if you were riding a conventional bike or walking, you'd be able to easily navigate around them. Well, not easily, but easier. You'd have an easier time navigating around them. And here is the crossing for the lower Don Valley Trail. So this map here should help put things in perspective. So essentially I started up here, sort of off the map, and I made my way down the Rosedale Valley Road, joined Bayview, followed this trail up this way, And now I've made my way here, which is on this yellow line here, which is for the Don Valley Trail, or the Lower Don Trail, which you can ride all the way down to the lake, Lake Ontario down here, or you can also ride it quite far north from here as well, not shown on this map. Well, anyway, that concludes my narrated tour of Rosedale Valley Road and Bayview Avenue here in Toronto. If you watched all the way to the end of the video, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below, and thanks for watching.